Aloha, and thank you for joining me for Java this Thursday. It's February 15th, 2024. So, getting right into the markets, we've got our favorite risk indicator, MMRI, has come back down from a higher area. It's now just below 275. So, watching a bit of that retrace, the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield yesterday were a bit volatile, but they did come back and released a bit of pressure on the stocks. So as it is at this moment, we are in the green. The volatility index fear has come down a bit, and gold is hovering just above 2,000. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's some pressure on oil that's due to basically supply, and we'll talk about that as well. The futures look like they are green at the moment. So it's looking a bit like a continuation, bullish continuation for the day so far. We are getting some numbers prior to market open, namely the jobless claims, and then we're going to be looking at a bit at retail sales. So some numbers and reports today. We've got a couple of the Fed presidents speaking today, but really what we're looking forward to is tomorrow is PPI, the Producer Price Index, and that is prior to market open. So that one, like the CPI, could have an effect on the market again. We're also watching housing starts, and then we've got more Fed members speaking. So tomorrow could be very exciting. Expect today to just kind of be relatively muted continuation. So I put this saying, this is actually in regards to China. The quote is that officials produce data and the data produce officials. So why I'm bringing this up and what it's in relation to is all of the numbers that they are bringing out in these reports. We know they're all skewed, they're all managed, and it's all in order to suit their needs. And they realize this as well. The problem is you can only do this so long before the real numbers start to show and the disparities come to light. So that's beginning to come take question. However, as it is at this moment, they're still accepting the numbers that they're putting out, understanding they're a bit manipulated. However, that's how they're going to take their action moving forward, which really the big thing is still when they're going to cut rates, which I don't think will be anytime very soon, definitely not March. I could be wrong. I don't know for sure, but that's my opinion. Anyway, we've got earnings today coming out. Stellantis. That will be interesting to watch. They did might do well, but they had the strikes. So we got a few others coming in today, and these are the ones for Friday because they are before open. So as far as real economy, we've now got the UK has reported their economy has fallen into a recession. So they're actually admitting this now. Also, same day that Japan has also slipped into a recession. So they're accepting their numbers, and now Germany is the third largest economy. And we know that Germany is not doing very well either. Their manufacturing is down tremendously, and they are dependent on the inexpensive energy in order to continue. So now with that, we've got also this other story coming out. Metal thieves have halted their high-speed rail, and it's not just your normal thieves. These are basically teams, is what they're saying, because they have special tools, and they're basically stealing the copper off the rails. So trains running between Frankfurt and Stuttgart were cancelled after the infrastructure was vandalized. They rerouted as many trains as they could. However, it's really hurting them, and it's because of basically the metal theft. So we also had, and for some reason America is not as concerned, but Finnish flash estimate signals that their economy also slipping into recession. So with all of this going on, we've got Christine Lagarde here for the European Central Bank talking about how they are going to have to wait for their rate cuts as well, because they've got some other numbers they're looking at. So they are not looking at cutting rates immediately either. So I've got a little bit, I wanted to talk about the United States banks, because they're talking about how they could face a $35 billion hit from some of the new regulations that are coming in as far as keeping their reserves. So this could be enough stress to make that shift that we are expecting. Remember, the smaller banks, some of the smaller banks, they're either going to get merged or just straight out go bankrupt. So I've got a few of these. I've got a list. This report came out, 20 banks and thrifts with the largest commercial industrial loan portfolios. So these are the ones with the largest exposure. I've got a couple here and then also like the broad. But it's not just because they have these amount of commercial loans, it's not a full indicator. I'll leave a link in the description below, but with a little caution because there are different grades of loans, some more likely to default than others. So while some are holding more, you can see who are trying to shed their loans as well. But like JP Morgan Chase is taking the absolute best loans from the strongest companies on the best buildings. So it's not the same as, for instance, some of the smaller banks that are taking loans on local commercial real estate that's not backed by much. So we've got Fed's Barr came out speaking, and he's saying one earnings miss does not a banking crisis make. Well, they're always covering things, as we said. It's creating officials, and he's basically kind of covering for his job, head of a bank, and they know what they're doing. They're in their consolidation mode. So with that, we've got Morgan Stanley cutting several hundred jobs in their wealth unit, basically stocks. And this is a bit of interest. The first one to go is the CEO. So they're talking about how it will affect less than 1% of the employees there, because they do have a massive number. However, it's just an indicator of their shifting with what they expect to be coming up here. So that being said, I'm not making a lot of plays personally as far as banking sector, other than JP Morgan seems like they'll be around, kind of long JPM. So anyway, not financial advice. India's CBDC project gets larger. So they're basically working towards their central bank digital currency. It is coming online. So now China has theirs online and India is solidifying theirs. Visa and MasterCard expanding in Egypt, and they'll also kind of be getting into this game of the CBDCs. So as we know, basically, they will all migrate to these at some point in time. It is inevitable. We've got privacy worries persisting as the UK's digital pound progresses. So is coming. Basically, all of this, all fiat currency and all of these CBDCs, at the very base of them, they're just a ledger system. So it's basically just an accounting program, if you would. However, what they tie into it with the personal identity and what they can do with it is really the concern. So we have the story of Kenya. The Kenyan shilling soaring as locals are ditching, and this is US dollars, after a Eurobond sale. So they had, for a short period of time, because of what's going with their economy, a shortage of US dollars. And that, of course, made them more valuable, but now they're kind of dumping them. So we'll see that. I think we'll see that in a few places, as well as locally, that the US dollar will all of a sudden gain value, and that will pressure pricing on other things, basically deflation. So I had a comment with that, and this is regarding price caps, because I've heard a few people calling for price caps, and that's not the answer. So they're talking about it in Hungary for the last couple of years, and that it's really shaken the foundation and had the worst inflation in the EU, mostly because of price caps. Government control and pricing doesn't work out historically. So this I wanted to cover. It's all over about the national security threat that we had. House Intel Committee Chair. Now, all they were talking about is that it's something related to Russia in space using nuclear technology targeting satellites. So two of the main things we get in satellites is data and connection, communication, internet, and information. So if they knock out a lot of the satellites, it's all of the infrastructure communication, which could be threatened. So be ready just in case for that. We always try to be ready. Power grid going down, water systems of automated delivery, anything that is controlled with that. A lot of transport systems, communication, and financially. But what struck me was a particular line that they said. They said, don't panic, and there's no need to buy gold. So with that, we also had the Central Budgeting Office basically talking about how the national debt could threaten the US economic stability. So they're talking about under the current law, there would not be enough resource to pay the promised benefits of Social Security. So my advice is what they say not to do. This was an ad, but I thought it was perfect. Buy gold today, invest in it securely, and compare your gold vendors. So just a couple of short things. We've got oil demand growing. As I said, I would speak about this earlier. So they're saying non-OPEC supply expands. A lot of that is shale in the United States. There's other areas that are trying to shift dependency. So yesterday we did see a rally in cryptocurrencies, mostly Bitcoin, all kind of surged on purchasing. I have to admit, I would like Bitcoin better than roses, maybe. I think they last longer anyway. So I've got one lava update I would like to say. They came out with this Wegovy, these weight loss injections, and now they have approved them for children. So saying U.S. families beginning to use these weight loss drugs for their children. And I can't say enough how terrible of an idea I think this is. If you use these, I would urge you to think about why you need them and look into what they are made of and the long-term issues they can cause. So I know it's difficult to do this and stay healthy, but doing it on your own, healthy diet, exercise if possible, I'm a strong advocate for that, and stay as healthy as you can. And with that, please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day until I see you again, my friends. Stay free.